Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Darkrai VSTAR, but this is not going to be a traditional Darkrai VSTAR list. This Darkrai VSTAR list features Comfy and the Lost Zone engine with the Chorus, so that you can utilize the Mirage Gate to get even more energy into play, alongside the Dark Patch, of course. And Darkrai just goes really well with the Lost Zone engine. And yeah, this deck is just really good at ramping energy into play. It's kind of like having another 4 Dark Patch, which is kind of nuts because Dark Patch is a nuts card. Mirage Gate is also a nuts card. But this deck is kind of just built like a traditional Lost Zone deck. But Darkrai does go really well with the Comfy, and I'll explain why in a minute. Starting off with 3 Darkrai VSTAR. Now I should say that this list is actually based off a list I saw of a Japanese list. That was really, really cool. It was a little bit different than this, but I have tweaked it a bit to my liking. You can tweak it a bit to your liking, of course. But yeah, I just want to say this is based off of a Japanese list. So 3 Darkrai VSTAR has the attack Dark Pulse, 2 colors energy, 30 damage, and then 30 more for each Dark Energy attached to all your Pokemon. So obviously we just want to just use Dark Patch, Mirage Gate to get a whole bunch of Dark Energy into play as fast as we possibly can. Then the VSTAR power, Star Abyss, lets you return any 2 item cards from discard pile back to your hand, which not only can get back Dark Patches, but can also get back Scoop Up Net, so you can reuse Comfy again to try and get those 7 cards into the Lost Zone quota that you need. And so it's really good for those 2 main things, getting rid of the Dark Patches and Scoop Up Nets if you need to. And of course, it is our main attacker, allowing us to do like infinite damage with the Dark Pulse. Then of course we also have 3 Darkrai V. The main reason we're not running 4 is because we do not want to start it. That's the only reason. We do not want to start Darkrai V. Darkrai V is a pretty bad starter. It is 2 retreat cost. We'd much rather start our Comfy, which we do have 4 of course, because the Lost Zone engine is how this deck runs. And the Lost Zone engine is really pretty. It's pretty consistent in what it does too. So kind of putting it alongside the Darkrai, which is kind of like, I feel like, notoriously inconsistent, then that'll definitely help the consistency of the Darkrai deck, of course. But Comfy has the ability of flower picking. Once in your turn, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, one of them in your hand, the other in Lost Zone, kind of like Acrobike. However, you can Scoop Net this Comfy into another Comfy, and use another flower picking. So you can just get multiple cards in the Lost Zone in one turn, and it allows you to pick 1 card from the top 2 cards of your deck, which is not bad. Having an Acrobike on an ability that also powers up the Mirage Gate, which is your energy acceleration, or at least some of your energy acceleration, is pretty nice. Next, 2 copies of Crobat V, because Darkrai decks really want to be as aggressive as possible so they can get all this energy in play, and 2 Crobats helps us be aggressive. Then we also have 1 copy of Crobat V Max, and this is because sometimes our Darkrai does not get there, sometimes it does not do enough, sometimes we just have 1 or 2 prizes left to take, and Crobat V Max can come in there with a Max Cutter, only costs 3 energy, which is pretty easy for us to supply, to do 180 damage, just clean 180, not a bad attack, and it's a VMAX, so it can be something that you want to load your energy onto that your opponent does not want to boss, because bossing at 300 HP, VMAX that you're not going to knock out, or you're going to hit for not a knockout, is not great. And it also has the attack Stealth Poison that for 2 energy to 70, and you switch to the bench and your opponent's item is poisoned. It's really good for knocking out Sobbles, so you don't like have to put like a Darkrai V in the active spot turn 2 to knock out a Sobble. You can go into the Crobat VMAX instead. That can Stealth Poison, go into a Comfy, so basically your Comfy did 70 damage and knocked out a Sobble, which is pretty good. It's just a solid card all around in this deck. Then we have 1 last card, and that's going to be 1 copy of Radiant Greninja. Just like any Darkrai deck, we want to be able to get those energies into the discard pile fast, and Radiant Greninja helps us do just that. Moving into our supporters, we have 4 copies of Colress's Experiment, because the Lost Zone engine does need Colress's Experiment, so you can get cards in the Lost Zone a little bit more aggressively than the Comfy. The Comfy only puts 1 in the discard pile, or in the Lost Zone, and Colress puts 2. So Colress is just a good supporter in the Lost Zone deck. We only have 1 other supporter, and that's 1 copy of Boss's Orders, because sometimes we want to like boss and then like Max Cutter for the game on the Crobat VMAX or something like that. And Boss is just a strong card. Now, going into our item cards, we have no other supporters, just item cards here. A lot of 4 of item cards. 4 copies of Ultra Ball, and 4 copies of Quick Ball for our Pokemon search. And those are obviously the most aggressive Pokemon search in the game. They also force you to discard cards, so you can discard your Dark Energies for the Dark Patches, which is nice. Just Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, really just good cards. Then we have 4 copies of Pokegear 3.0, and this is because we only have 4 Colress. We only have 4 draw supporters. So if we can play a Pokegear to help us find those 4 draw supporters, we can essentially turn the course into like we have like 5 draw supporters in our deck, or we have 6 or 7 or even 8 if we hit every single Pokegear. And it could be really nice for helping us find our 1 copy of boss. We only have 1 copy of boss, and Pokegears can be good for helping us find that. Not only that, but also they're really good Lost Zone fodder. You can find them off of Comfy, or usually Lost Zoning them if you don't already have a course in your hand. Unless you don't already have a course in your hand, I should say, because they're pretty much useless if you have like 1 or 2 choruses in your hand already. So they're just nice to just pop in the Lost Zone. You don't really care about them when they hit the Lost Zone. Next, 4 copies of Scoop Up Net, of course, so we can reuse our Comfies as much as we want. We can also use this to reuse our Grading Greninja, but I feel like most of the time we're going to be wanting to reuse our Comfy because it's just giving us access to that Mirage Gate as soon as possible is really important. And we have plenty of other ways to get energy into Scar Pile. We won't have to reuse Grading Greninja, and sometimes the odd one Scoop Up Net we will use on Grading Greninja just so we can draw more, because we really need to hit a piece or something. But using it on a Comfy into another Comfy is essentially the same effect. You get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one. Now you don't get both of the cards; you can only get one, but you do get to look at them and choose at least. So I feel like using Scoop Up Net on Comfy is better value than on Greninja here in this deck specifically. But it's definitely an option to use it on Greninja if you need. And then we have our Energy Acceleration, which consists of 4 Dark Patch. Of course, just the most powerful acceleration. 4 Dark Pokemon, and then 4 copies of Mirage Gate, which some of you might be wondering, Mirage Gate, that gets 2 different types of basic energy. And I know that. However, it does get 1 type of basic energy if you need. So this essentially just says search your deck for dark energy attached on your Pokemon, which is still pretty good. If it just search for 2 basic energy of any type, that'll be insane. Just +2 onto your board is nuts. Alas, it does not. It just says search your deck for dark energy, which is still strong. And our entire deck is built so we can utilize this just because it's a crazy good card. It's essentially another 4 dark patch if you think about it. Also, something I want to mention about the dark patches is that dark patches can help you sustain a couple Darkrai's. That could take a couple knockouts or like 2-shot things until you get the right amount of cards in the Lost Zone to start having access to those Mirage Gates. Like you can use like 2 or 3 Dark Patch maybe to power up your board initially, and then before you get access to the Mirage Gates, you can like start attacking on the same turn. So you start using like maybe your 3rd Chorus, so you can really start getting things to play. I don't know if I can explain that well, but it can kind of hold you over. You can still attack and do damage without having to use Mirage Gate. Kind of like Giratina and Goodra have a hard time doing that because they totally rely on Lost Zone Engine to get the Mirage Gate and the energy in play. But Darkrai has Dark Patch, so it can kind of sustain itself while you try and set up those Lost Zone cards. Next, 1 copy of Switch and 1 copy of Air Balloon, because moving around our 2-price Pokemon is important too. We only have 5 1-price Pokemon, everything else is 2-price, and those can't be moved around by Scoop Up Nets. So we need to have a way to move those around as well. And then energy is going to be 15 copies of Dark Energy. And something I actually have thought about adding in here is a couple copies of Water Energy. And the reason is because it is Radiant Greninja fodder if you don't need it, and you can search it out Mirage Gate and attach it to Greninja and actually attack with Moonlight Shuriken, which is just a good attack. Having a sniping attack in just an all-out aggressive deck like Darkrai is something that definitely could be worth it. Just include like 2 or 3 water energy so you can have that access to Moonlight Shuriken. It's really easy to do once you get the 7 in the Lost Zone because you have Mirage Gate. So you can just finish things up or set things up for Crobat VMAX knockouts, maybe. So water energy is something that I've considered. Only thing is that it's more space in the deck, and this deck is pretty tight on space. I don't see much you could cut. You may be able to cut Boss. Maybe you could merit cutting a Crobat or Crobat VMAX. Maybe you could cut a Pokegear or 2, but there's not much I feel like that you really want to cut here. and also water energy does not pay or does not apply for more damage with Dark Pulse. It does help you actually. It can actually pay Dark Pulse, which is nice, but it won't count for that damage of Dark Pulse. If that makes sense. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I do videos like this all the time. And yeah, this is just a cool Japanese deck I saw that I tweaked a little bit, made it my own, and I think it's really cool. If it's not good, it's definitely fun. I played some solitaire games with it. It was pretty consistent, I felt like, too. So yeah, let's do it. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.